Okay, so let's touch on, like I mentioned, the 100K per month TikTok shop ceiling, which is there because the fact is most brands can never actually get past this, and it's becoming more of a regular occurrence when I speak to more brands on a weekly basis, when I do more audits. They are basically brands that are kind of getting to that tipping point of 100K, going over it maybe on a month where it is like a big event, whether it's like a deals for you month or like say Black Friday period, but then they end up falling straight back down. And there's a few reasons for this, which I'm going to break down, and it's going to show you exactly what separates those from who stall and obviously those that don't. So with that being said, let's kind of get into this. So the fact is, like I say, most brands don't fail on TikTok shop. Okay, that's the always thing you got to always remember. And again, we're starting to find out now that there are kind of brands who are just obviously launching on the platform, not giving it enough time and thinking that the platform doesn't work. Then you got brands who like are scaling from maybe that 10K to 30K kind of range, and again they're hovering around there, they're getting a little bit of traction, but they're wanting to get more. Then you get that 100K ceiling where again the brands kind of surpass that, get to 100K, and then after that, if you do get past that, and like I always say, you got like the 250 kind of mark, and it's simple, then 500K, then all the way to a million. So again, there are ways of doing it, but again, where brands go wrong, I say they actually end up just stalling along the way. So again, what you find is, like say, growth just literally flatlines, and there's a few reasons for this, which again we're going to go through. But the fact is, revenue just basically continues to remain consistent month after month, and again they try and obviously put more output into it, but it doesn't seem to affect it. And again, you will always see it's always between that 30 to 100K kind of mark, and again it does vary from there. And again, we speak to brands as well. We even work with some brands that again they had some months where they scaled dramatically to like 75K, but then 2 months later they realized they're looking at the PLN, it's not right, and then they had to make some tweaks. And again, if they kind of scaled back from that and then not being able to get back up to there. So again, this range can become a trap, because again, if you start to look at this, and again, if there's not enough success to kind of justify it continuing, then again, you need to have that momentum to break through that 100K, which then hopefully means you will become more profitable, more of that halo effect, and from then onwards. But the fact is that, and the thing is, again, most brands, they stall and they find it confusing, but they don't know why. And again, this is what we're going to break down into a little bit more depth. So again, like I said, the ceiling, it's a pattern. It's not bad luck, it's literally a pattern, because again, you find initial traction, because sometimes there's two ways about it. Traction can either be really slow for a lot of brands, especially like say the health category, because again, obviously you need that social proof, you need people to try it, and again, it's a lot more skepticism in that kind of category. But then there's obviously some categories again that you launch in, and again, you kind of get that initial traction straight away, and then again you think, okay, this is effortless, this is straightforward, this is simple, and again, you find videos are working really well. But that's kind of it, because what tends to happen is, when you look at the data, a few creators are the ones that carry in the results. So again, success concentrates basically around maybe 2 to 3 creators, where again they've obviously got the product, they've created good content, and that's kind of moving your GMV along the way. They're sending out 100 samples per week, maybe 1 or 2 pieces of content is working well, and you don't really know why it's working well, it's not being replicated. So again, what happens is growth then slows, because you get that kind of spike because it works really well. It stays there for maybe a few weeks, few months, but then again, there's no new creators that are coming in to replicate that early success. And again, where the brands are going wrong, they're not basically incentivizing that creator to go and create more content like that, or getting that winning kind of concept and putting into practice. And again, you see this time and time again, so it's just an easy fix there. So again, what people think is that you increase your effort, but then the output doesn't increase. So it's kind of a catch-22, right? So again, just because you're doing more outreach, send out more samples, more coordination, but you still get the same revenue, because again, it's linear to a degree, that again, if you are sending out more samples, you've got more chances of something hitting, but again, it's not always the same. So it's not an algorithm issue, it's something deeper that goes into this. So what the 100K scene looks like in reality, so again, like I say, consistent daily GMV. So again, you might be going from, again, this is in GBP, but you might go from 8K GBTP, then all of a sudden barely clearing the 1K, and then forecasting becomes so impossible. And again, like I say, you are relying on a small creator set. So again, 3 to 5 creators generating 70 to 80% of revenue, which is great at first, because again, it's exciting, you're seeing that traction, but how do you then go past that and move even more? Because again, the fact is, when they go quiet, everything else drops, right? So again, you need to be constantly testing, but then again, you want to test correctly and not be spending too much, because again, you want to get that new creator partnership. But again, it's always going to be starting time and time again. So you might have something that's winning, then it falls off, then you start again, wins, falls off. So again, you need something that kind of builds momentum. So again, let's see here, activity stays high, confidence quietly drops. And again, especially you've got to tell this to stakeholders why one month has been great and then another month is not. again, if your other channels like your Meta's doing well, your Amazon's doing well, your Google's doing well, no one's going to really take your TikTok shop side of things seriously in terms of the stakeholders, because they're thinking, okay, you're putting all this time and effort into it, but it's not materialized to anything much. So again, this is why you need to be able to scale a lot more effectively. So again, brands obviously misdiagnose the problem. So again, they either blame the creators because they think obviously sending out so many samples, we're not getting finding enough good creators, okay, and that comes like the easy excuse out here time and time again. Or they blame TikTok, they think, okay, maybe it's not the right time, or the season's not right, or the algorithm is saturated, whatever that looks like. That's always a thing. Or they blame the spend. So again, obviously they think that we need to put more budget into samples, and again, that comes like kind of the theme there. But again, the truth is that the problem is structural, okay, because again, I think as well today, even in when people are getting more educated on the platform, some people still don't understand how to kind of make TikTok Shop work. You get a bit of success, and again, because what you tend to find with a lot of brands right now is someone is kind of doing the role part-time alongside their influencer marketing job or their social media role, or again their growth side of things. They're kind of just looking at it and it works a little bit, but again, they've not got enough time and resource to kind of put more time and effort into it. So again, we see this happening time and time again. So I'm going to go through the 4 real causes now, so you can obviously see if this will be something that is happening to you, or you can obviously hopefully look into this before it does become an issue in your space when you launch on TikTok Shop. So again, cause 1, I would say, is the creator concentration risk. So again, too much GMV from too few creators. So again, you want to be diversifying here. So again, volatility is always going to happen, but what you need to be doing is you want to find the creators that are doing really well. And again, you might not be able to work top creator right away, but it's not always based on the creator, it's based on the actual concept that is working. So again, if you find a concept that is working really well, how can you replicate that, whether it's working with the same creator again to create multiple pieces like that, or you incentivize or a creator to say, look, this is winning formula, this is doing really well for us, why reinvent the wheel? Put this into GMV max, and again, it's going to start spending. So again, you can incentivize creators to either show them that, post this, or again, you need to push them a little bit more. You can say, okay, if creators, whoever posts this, you get maybe a bonus, maybe again, hypothetically, you get $10 to $20 if you post a similar video, because again, because you've seen the data, that's working. So it's all about giving TikTok Shop more of that, and again, it's going to help you. But again, what's happening right now is there's no safety net for the brands, there's no backup system, and again, that's why it starts to fall off. So again, and I would say here, if one creator leaves hurt, you don't have a system in place, because you can't be relying on one creator, because again, it might be the case that they get approached by your competitor and they're paying a bit more, or again, they might just stop posting, for example. So again, or find a different product. It's always the case. So again, you want to be making sure the ceiling exposes its brutality without warning. So again, early success can also hinder and hide what's coming around the corner, because again, just like that, you can be literally high and then you can drop off, or like say competitors come along and kind of start to replicate what you're doing, but at better and at more speed as well from that side of things. And then cause 2, I would say, is sample economics to stop working, because again, you don't initially think of the forecasting to look what your sampling ROI looks like. So again, if you see this here, for example, initial partnerships deliver like a 10 to 1 or 15-1 return, because that's obviously at the beginning, it's novelty, it's hype, it looks really good from that side of things. But when that starts to drop off, and you then look at your P&L and see how many samples you're sending out, this is where you kind of need to realign, and again, just make sure it works, because again, brand scale volume a lot more in terms, because samples are sent out instead of the leverage. So again, the response is predictable. So again, you want to send out more samples to creators, but the volume doesn't always equal efficiency. So that's why, again, going back to my original point, you want to see what's working. And again, you want to be briefing creators and, like I say, testing out maybe 1-2 concepts at a time, see what's working, tweak it, and then move forward from then onwards. And then again, with that, margins do quietly compress. So again, sample cost balloon whilst conversion rate decline. So again, I would say what worked at, like say, 5K a month will not basically work at 50K a month. It can start to break. So again, always think this in top of your mind. More samples is not the direct growth strategy, okay? It does work simultaneously, but it's not necessarily more send out more samples. You get more content, more GMV. You kind of need to be looking at, okay, you get more content out. So forget the sample part, more content that is good quality. That is kind of the way it's going to start to allow you to raise. Again, so again, samples just kind of just mirrors over in terms of the crack sometimes, I say, but again, it fades fast. So you need to be adjusting over time. And again, the landscape's getting more competitive as well now. So again, you need to be doing more than just sending out samples. You need to be, like I say, retaining creators, not just renting them, I like to say, retaining them. incentivizing them, to rewarding them, I should say, as well, to make sure that they continue to post for you on a continual basis. And then clause 3 basically is just no operational layer between content and revenue, okay? Because again, wins are accidental, not designed. You've got no systems for turning traction into repeatable outcomes, or output, I should say, and each creative success is treated as a one-off. So again, if every win feels lucky, you're already capped, okay? So again, you need to make this predictable to be able to get over that 100K and sustainably be over that 100K mark. At this point as well, I'd make, so say, brands rent creators instead of retaining them. So keep that in mind. When you're doing your sample, sending out samples or trying to find creators using Yuka or whatever it looks like that, you are just looking to rent the creator, okay? But what you want to do is you want to then get them on board by, like I say, incentivizing them, because top creators are always going to churn. They always look for the next product. They want to get paid more. So again, high performers will move on. Just always keep that in mind unless you keep them in place. So again, what we see as well, brands are just so scared to incentivize or give retains out to creators. But when you look at the economics in terms of like, okay, rather than sending out 100 samples, that costing there, put it into some incentives, you know you're going to get a better output from that. So again, it's just a mindset shift that again, it helps you move forward in the right way. So again, in this day and age in TikTok Shop, there's no reason for creators to stay loyal. So again, you need to give them a reason to be, whether it's like sending them more swag, making them ambassadors, making them a part of something. So again, weekly webinars, founder events, whatever that kind of looks like, you want to get them involved so they become a part of it, because it's going to get more competitive now. Bigger brands are coming on the platform. So again, you need to give people a reason to want to promote your brand. And we look at this, so again, the missing piece, so no self-sustaining creative community. So again, if you've not got this, this is what's going to make it all fall together. So again, if creators, like I mentioned, don't feel part of something larger, there's no progression in terms of like tiering them, giving them a high commission, or no internal momentum, then again, this will just fall on flat ears. Again, I see a lot of communities, whether it's on Lock, Discord, where again, it's kind of buzzing for the first week or so, and then it just goes dead. And then they're wondering why their GMV's fallen off, because that is a direct correlation, right? Retention is key. You retain more creators, they create more content, you get your GMV going up. That's always going to be the case, right? So again, top brands are not chasing creators. They are the creators staying because they're making it a place for them to stay. So again, right now, one of the most popular jobs I would say I've seen brands are recruited for right now is community managers, because again, community managers is the way forward, not just from a TikTok Shop element, but again, being able to build a community around creators. So whether you are doing stuff for YouTube, Amazon, Meta content, whatever that looks like, you're building this out, so you've got that ecosystem ready to go. But like I said, the patterns, they're always the same. So again, early traction from novelty, then mid-stage stall from lack of structure, and then that plateau, mistakes for saturation. So again, the ceiling is not market driven, it is always self-imposed. So you've got to keep that in mind. So what changes above 100K per month? So again, systems replace the hustle. Easy as that, okay? It becomes repeatable processes, and again, growth becomes predictable. You can look at your creative forecast and you say, okay, if I do X, I'm going to get Y back from it. And then again, you start to make a little bit more sense. So again, you want to have that redundancy replacing dependency, which I would say, and the structure replaces tactics. So again, strategic framework guides decisions instead of reactive firefight, which again, I think a lot of brands are always doing, and constant testing. So again, you want to have that balance to make sure it makes sense. So again, this is where most brands hesitate, because it feels it's less exciting, right? But it's more operational. So again, the more boring stuff, unfortunately, is stuff that makes you grow on the platform. You want to have like 80% that's going to be tried and proven, and then 20% where you want to be maybe testing on. So again, don't try and reinvent the wheel sometimes. If you know something's working, just how you do more of that is always the way for it. Like I say, the shift most brands resist. So again, investing before certainty. So again, time and time again, they don't want to commit too much resources, whether it's people or costing or samples, until ROI is guaranteed. I always get brands saying, okay, we'll spend more once it is proven, or we'll spend more once we are getting sales. But that is the wrong way to look at it. You need to spend more to be able to get the sales. TikTok Shop is a different platform. So again, that's what you need to figure out before you try and scale to 100K. You want to put that money in. And again, letting go of control. So again, trusting systems, delegation instead of micromanaging. You can't micromanage every creative interaction, every sample. You can't do that. It's just not proper. It's just not possible on the platform. And then designing for repeatability. So again, once you see something working, build frameworks out, because then if you are going to grow a team, or if you work with an agency or freelance, however that looks like, build the framework. So again, you're not just optimizing for one-off wins, you're optimizing for consistency from that side of things. So again, the ceiling exists because the comfort exists. So again, once you start to break through that, it becomes a lot more easier. But But like I say, if this feels familiar, I say you're not alone. The 100K ceiling, I see it across multiple different brands I order each and every week. It's not creators, it's not your product, it's not TikTok, it's just a design problem, okay? This stage is normal. So again, predictability is what you're looking for. But again, if you can do this, it's the great way for it. But like I say, if you're stuck here, the answer is not more activity, okay? It's better architecture, okay? So if you can get that right, this will allow you to continue to scale past that 100K. And again, don't get me wrong, once you get about 100K to 250K, again, you're going to come across other problems as well. But again, this is kind of the mark where I feel like brands are kind of, there's a wide variety of brands right now who are stuck at this kind of point. So again, hopefully if you start to put this into practice, this will allow you to get past that and allow you to start scale more aggressively. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope you're not below or you're not hitting that 100K ceiling. And hopefully if you are, this will help you today. So I hope you like this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.